Well, the Democratic Party is short on policy, but boy, oh boy, they are full of stunts. A whole posse of Texas Democrats skipping town on a private plane, fleeing the Lone Star State to dodge a vote that would have advanced the GOP's redistricting plans. Republicans are looking to scoop as many as 5 new House seats next year, and the Dems' big plan to stop it, well, they've tried it before. They want to go hide out in friendly blue state territory, places like Illinois and New York, where the governors are rolling out the welcome mat.
We're not here to play political games.
Texas governor would bend a knee to Donald Trump because he's afraid to lose an election.
I think we all know Donald Trump is a cheater. The cult leader and, would-be dictator of the United States tells Texas to midstream change the game when they know that they're going to lose in 2026. All bets are off.
This is a war. We are at war. And that's why the gloves are off.
There is no felony in the Texas Penal Code for what he says. So respectfully, he's making up some
Well, some folks are pointing out the irony of the lawmakers fleeing to Illinois, which is heavily gerrymandered, if you check out those districts there. And Texas Democrat Jasmine Crockett is at risk of losing her seat in the redistricting, and perhaps that explains why she's been extra salty towards President Trump.
Listen, Donald Trump is a piece of okay, we know that. Yes, he is. But in a functioning democracy, he still would not be able to get away with this.
And breaking just moments ago, Texas Governor Greg Abbott has ordered the arrest of the runaway Democrats, saying, quote, there are consequences for dereliction of duty. Earlier, Abbott outlined what potential charges they could face.
Very simply, it would be bribery if any lawmaker took money to perform or to refuse to perform an act in the legislature. And the reports are these legislators have been they sought money and they offered money to skip the vote, to leave the legislature, to take a legislative act. That would be bribery. There's one way to cure that. And that is if they get back to the state of Texas and make quorum today.
But apparently that's not going to happen. Jesse, do you remember in December of 2021, the TikTok Texans left, they fled, they went to Washington, D.C. It was like one of the great political comedies of all time, and now they're trying it again.
Yeah, so Jesse Jr. didn't want to go to camp the other day because I was driving him, and he wanted mommy to drive. And
she's a better driver.
No, definitely not. And then so he finds out I'm driving, and he starts crying and runs upstairs and hides in my room. And I get to him and I say, what's the problem? Why don't you want Dad to take you? And he says, well, mommy, when she takes me to camp, she stops at Dunkin' Donuts for munchkins. Now I get why mom drives. So I said, well, stop for a treat. And then I drove him and he forgot about the treat. This is the same kind of infantile behavior you're seeing. They're crying, they're running, and they're throwing a tantrum until they get what they want. This also has happened on the Republican side, too. In 1988, the Democrats in the Senate had a campaign finance bill, and the Republicans couldn't filibuster it, so the Republican senators disappeared. And what did Robert Byrd do, who was a member of the Klan, Jessica? He ordered the sergeant-at-arms to gather up a bunch of Capitol Police officers and hunt down and arrest Republican senators. And they find Bob Packwood holed up in his office, and he tried to obstruct the door. So they bust down the door, they handcuff him, and they drag him feet first back onto the Senate floor. This has happened a lot recently, though, with the Democrats. From Texas to Indiana to Wisconsin, they're running away from their jobs. The American people don't know the word gerrymander. You go out into the street, you ask them what gerrymander is, they don't know and they don't care. They have other things they're dealing with. They know what it looks like when you don't go to work. And all the headlines right now are Democrats run away from their jobs. People want politicians to show up, and they're not showing up. They say the Republicans are pulling a power grab. What do you think bringing 20 million migrants into the country was? You know, they're saying this is an abuse of power. Put the map back up of Illinois. That looked like an earthworm on LSD connecting blue cities.
Jesse Jr. did it.
Exactly. So they're saying that we're going to steal the midterms, the Republicans. Well, the last time Trump was president, they stole the midterms by hovering the Russia hoax over his head, which cost him the House. Now, Obama told Democrats a couple weeks ago to get tough. And what did they do? They ran away. Do men run away? Is this how you get men back? Did the men at the Alamo in Texas run away?
No, but they all died.
They didn't. And that might happen. And that might happen in the redistricting, but they didn't hop on a private jet.
Joe, if you look at that map of Illinois, which I pointed out on America's Newsroom today, that Republicans won in about 47% of the popular vote in 2024, but they only hold 17% of the seats. Now, that Illinois chose to do that. That's what living in Illinois is like. I don't know if this is the best place to flee to.
So a lot of these places, when they gerrymander, it's almost they're complicit with both parties. Hey, give me a more red district, I'll give you a more blue district. We see that a lot. North Carolina went through it in the courts, I think, a couple of years ago. It's nothing new. I'm kind of with Jesse, though, when you talk about the amount of illegal immigrants that came into the country, I was like, well, they can't vote. Well, they do get counted in the census. And when they get counted in the census, that decides where these districts come up at and which states get them. California has 1.8 million illegal immigrants. That's 2+ congressional seats. New York has more than 600,000. That's almost a full congressional seat. Now, those two states actually lost seats because everybody else is fleeing. But the idea that Republicans are cheating because they're doing what both parties have done since the inception of this country, yet they ignore that and they call that the great replacement theory, like it's racist. No, it's not racist. It's matter of fact. It's really difficult to see like Senator Padilla sit there and cry foul.
One of the things, Jessica, that is kind of ironic about this is that you have 31 million Texans, I believe. Hello, are you calling me? And they've had like I think a net migration of 131,000 people over a short period of time. So there's this population growth in Texas, but Illinois is one of the places that is losing population because of the way that it's governed. So I found that a little bit curious. I'm sure you have a lot to say about this. I would just like to point out that I don't want Jasmine Crockett to lose her seat.
I know, it brings you guys infinite joy.
I enjoy her, and I think she's a real, like, one of life's great characters.
Well, hopefully she won't, but odds are that that is what's going to happen once everyone does eventually have to come home, whether that is tomorrow or it's in December, and they can hide out that long. And this isn't about populations coming in and out of blue states. It's about the fact that J.B. Pritzker can afford to do this. And when they went to D.C. a few years ago, they ran out of money. J.B. Pritzker's never running out of money, and he's got a bunch of Hyatt hotels, and they can each have a suite, and they can hang out there for as long as they need to. But the idea that people are watching this happen, or at least people who vote like I do or have similar values to me, are seeing this just as people running away from their job is ludicrous. What they are seeing is the fact that Donald Trump called up Greg Abbott, and redistricting is supposed to happen once every 10 years. That's when the census happens. He's saying, I want a mid-cycle redistrict because I only have a three-seat majority, and I need a bigger cushion. So get me 5 more seats. So Greg Abbott calls a special session, not about the flooding, not about what happened in Camp Mystic, but so that he can steal seats from Democrats, so that Jazzy won't be able to have her seat any longer. It's important to remind people that in 2021, there was a bill, the For the People Act, H.R. 1, and it would have banned all gerrymandering, and every single Democrat voted for it, and every single Republican voted against it. Republicans want it this way. They want to use this to their advantage, and of course, there are some states, if you can do it, why wouldn't you get as many seats as possible? But the way in which Abbott is going about this has made people, even like Eric Holder, who runs an organization that is fundamentally against this, change his tune, because the California proposal, and Newsom has been out front on this as well, only has this happen for a few years. So it will go back to normal cadence, and the independent commissions will come back into play. But if you don't fight fire with fire, what are we supposed to do? In a midterm, you're supposed to pick up seats. So we're supposed to just sit there and take it like this? That's why Hochul says that we are at war. And it looks that way to me, and I'm someone who doesn't usually argue for this kind of behavior. What is unfair is in Texas, 45% of the vote goes to Democrats. They would only get 21% of the seats.
Is that also unfair in Illinois?
Yeah, I said they took advantage of it.
I mean, and that's the thing. And so let me ask the California expert here if if this is a gerrymandered nuclear arms race, if California decides to do the same thing, could this backfire on Republicans?
Well, I think the application matters. So there were some critics, for example, that said, look, this map could have been a lot uglier. So I think there's a spectrum indeed of what the impact is. So the answer to your question is, in true attorney form, is it depends. And I think respectfully, I don't think this is fighting fire with fire. I see this as stunts masquerading as statesmanship. Legislators fleeing their constitutional duty to a blue state, somehow this friendly refuge for them, and totally, absconding their legislative duty, it just shows that they prefer theater to governance. Like, they can't have that substantive discussion, and instead they just have to tick-tock away all day long. And the irony, earlier today, Ann Johnson, a Texas Democrat, was being interviewed, and she said, this is an extraordinary tactic. This is the final straw that we only employ when there's a complete threat to democracy. The threat to democracy is all of the legislators leaving the building. And then when pointed out by the host, well, you did do this in 2021, so it seems like it sort of happens a lot. She acknowledged, yes, that happened and that it didn't work at that time. So this is failure upon failure. And I note that the narrative being pushed always goes back to this, because when confronted with the fact that you've done this before, you pulled the stunt, it didn't work, what did she do? She drew a football analogy that didn't make sense. And then she said, well, at the end of the day, we need Texans to know, does their governor serve Trump or does he serve Texans? And so it's always going to come back to this: Trump is bad and he's at the root at all evil. When they're also saying, well, in these new districts, the conservative Hispanics are outweighing the Democratic Hispanics and the white voters. Well, that's exactly what happened in 2024. So for me, this is the application of reality then, rather than the distortion that the Democrats always hope for.
But Trump did ask for it explicitly. He wants those 5 extra seats. Don't you think it should just be every 10 years as it has been?
Well, we'll see when the Voter Rights Act is called into question for SCOTUS, and I'm pretty sure they'll rule in this favor.
And real quick, Texas, their legislature only meets every 2 years. So most of what they do is under special session. It isn't like this is some completely out of the blue kind of thing. And what exactly do you want them?
Is out of the
what
blue.
exactly do you want them to do in response to the floods? What would you like for them to call a special? Because you brought that in, like you're comparing the two things.
Well, go over the alarm system, give them the billions of dollars.
That is part of the thing today.
Well, it's secondary.
I am for more competitive districts. When Bill Hemmer's at the board on election night, it would be great for him to have more than a handful of congressional seats for him to look at and say, these are the 18, more than 18 that we need to watch. I think one year it was only 34. I'm for that. But when you say destroy democracy, this is the same crowd that wants to pack the court and blow up the filibuster. And now they're saying that Texas redistricting is going to destroy the democracy and the Constitution. I'm not sure.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.